We have a lot to get into. Okay. Make sure you got something to drink. Make sure you got something to drink. Okay. Hit that like, subscribe. I'm seeing that so many of y'all watch my content, but it's showing me that 86% of the people watching this are not subscribed. Okay. So I'm going to need 86% of y'all watching my videos to subscribe. Okay. You hear me? Is the mic on? Subscribe. Now, okay. Woo, it is the beginning of the end. Sometimes you have to wait for it. Don't be quick to make a video. And my therapist Cap is like, eventually, the whole we friends, we're all in the Airbnb together, we're in the mansion together, was gonna subside. Okay. The honeymoon is over. We got some unfollows. Okay. We was never friends in the beginning. I was bullied, misunderstood, all of it. Okay. Now let's get into, my little deep dive. I've been waiting. I have been waiting because I know eventually shit's gonna hit the fan. Okay. Sometimes you just gotta be patient and wait for the train wreck to happen. And this interview was a lot of that. All right. Now for me, Huda is the real winner this season. As much as people don't want to admit that, some of y'all see it. Amaya won the money. Huda won America. She is polarizing. Okay. She's polarizing. She's misunderstood at times. She's captivating. Casting knew what they were doing because as much as everybody is on Amaya's, like, the Amaya train, I've seen this happen too many times. It's only going to last for so long. That the good girl, America's sweetheart, is going to gain attention. Eventually, what does the world go to? The toxic bullshit, the train wrecks. Okay. This is what is going to keep people's attention. Sorry, Amaya. But you're going to have this week, maybe a couple months. This is what's going to last. This is what's going to have a career. This is what happens. The villains are the ones who have long lasting careers because people love toxicity. Okay. Now, where do I start? Now, we learn a lot about the trauma years, those developmental years. Okay. Huda is not as close to her family and her sisters as that scene when the sisters came would like you to believe. Okay. I feel like I've seen Huda over and over again show to me somebody who has always had to prove herself. Growing up in a religious environment, we learned watching her mom get beat. We also learned watching her father beat her mom go back and forth, her mom being heavily religious. And she alludes also to some things happening with her father. Now, she didn't go into details about the daddy, but she did use the word grooming. Her words, not mine. All right. But you see a child who has 5 siblings. I took a lot of notes. All right. Her parents separated when she was in the 4th grade. She would go to her father's house and at times feel like she called her mama to come help her escape the daddy. Note that the daddy issues. Okay. Because that's going to come up again. Okay. Note watching your mom be abused. Note that also. Okay. Tell my therapist, my armchair therapist, y'all taking notes. All right. And she also talks about things happening to her with her father, and nobody to this day still believing her about those things. And as a therapist, my mind goes someplace, but I don't want to put that on her daddy because maybe, it didn't really happen. But my mind goes to grooming, abuse, you trying to escape your daddy house. Okay. Because what was happening to you over there? Okay. And people who have been through certain things as children, physically, it just opened up this floodgate for so many different things: insecure attachment, criticalness, anxious attachment style. over sexualized behaviors. Now, connect the dots for yourself on that one. Okay. What happened to her? All right. But she also talked about being bullied in school, wanting to take her own life. Note the difficulty with female relationships as a child, being called a terrorist, and having an eating disorder. Now, you have all these things. Boom, 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 boom. All these things makes for this type of person. Okay. And then you add those unhealed wounds to a reality TV show where you're in a bubble, cameras are always there, no contact with the outside world. And I do also want to mention they are not allowed to have any type of contact with one another that is not filmed. That's also what I learned from this interview and in a picture I saw of Nick and Olandria on a boat. Okay. You're not allowed to be talking when there ain't no cameras. Okay. If there ain't a camera on you, don't talk to Jeremiah. Don't talk to Chris unless there's a camera on you. So nothing. All right. But now you have somebody who's been through some complex PTSD. And when you're going through and having unhealed wounds, you will bring that dynamic into every aspect of your life. And she goes into having a relationship with her child's father. He was cheating on her. She would stay. I believe he was in the service. Okay. The going back and forth, the like believing that he wasn't cheating, her having his location, him lying, him, getting caught because I got your location, bruh. I got your location. But she also, that we should note, she tends to romanticize love in relationships. And she has a pattern of having relationships with men who are emotionally unavailable, which goes back to daddy. Okay. And growing up in a religious household and having that household be kind of broken when your mom finds the courage to leave your father, fourth grade. So was that like 9, 10? Okay, those early, a couple years before adolescence, when you're trying to find yourself and who you are. And when you are not having connections at home, where do you get them from? The streets. And you are more susceptible to finding unhealthy and toxic relationships outside of your household. Now, she talks about finding out she was pregnant, but I want to get deeper into the whole how all this stuff affects her being on Love Island and the different relationship patterns. Like, one thing I also want to, point out also is how a couple things. Okay, this is my first time watching Alex Cooper's one of her podcasts. One, it's very interesting to me how these white podcasters can do nothing and get so much fame, sponsorships, and deals. I feel like there was this what's the word I'm looking for? Explosion. I know she came before the pandemic, but I don't think she really hit. Was it post pandemic? I feel like she hit or during the pandemic? Maybe during the pandemic. Her and that other girl that be with Funny Marco. Can't remember her name. Okay, but that white girl. But there's just been an explosion of, to me, these podcasters being able to get all the fame started out here. But if you don't look like that, deals, sponsorships, girl, we don't know you. Okay? But that's a side note. Okay. Now she talks about the whole reason that she went on Love Island was because she was dating a guy who said that she couldn't get on the show. And she's like, shit, you doing it. Let me apply. Okay. And she applied the traditional way. She wasn't scouted. They didn't find her on social media. She applied and she said within probably right after a week, she started getting hit up by production. Okay. Now, there are certain things I want to talk about with the dynamics that she had with people on the island because her trauma comes into play a lot. Where do we start? Let's start with Jeremiah. Now, people love to say that Jeremiah love bombed her. I still don't believe that. I think he was manipulative, and she's a wounded person who needs validation and attention. And Jeremiah was able to come in, attach to her quickly, and at times, depending on who you believe, get her in a path where or manipulate the other cast members to not talk to her. This is according to Huda, that he will link up with the boys and let them know that, you know, I'm gonna be talking to this girl. Don't talk to her. I'm gonna be talking to Huda. That's the girl I'm gonna be talking to. So y'all don't talk to them. She also says how um, Jeremiah would purposely become friends with the guys so that he would know who they were going to talk to, and he would put it out there that those girls were mine to talk to. The Adrinas, who else did he talk to? But that she feels like, you know, he was masterful, and she feels like she was love bombed. I want to hear from you guys. I don't see it as love bombing, even though I guess love bombing can also be manipulation. I just see two people who latched on too quickly and were intimate too quickly. And how on this show there was pressure to attach and be intimate. If you don't become physical quick, you're out of here. So you're in a group of other girls who are all in competition to find suitors. And when you have a past of you feel like you were bullied, you don't have good relationships with women, you don't have good relationships with your own father, how that creeps up into the relationship dynamic of you trying to have female friends and trying to have male suitors. Okay. That need for outside validation really did affect her. Now, I want to talk about her saying she wants a guy to be obsessed with her. Y'all say that often. But are y'all really ready for that? For a man to be obsessed with you? And part of me is like, that's your anxious attachment style, that outside validation that y'all are looking for. Oh, if you all up on me, you blowing up my phone, you doing the most, that is proving to me that you want to be with me. Prove yourself. And I think we're in an age of, I feel like, toxic femininity. And that's what this shit is. Okay. This represents the Gen Z version of femininity, a feminist. Because what I have noticed is that the new generation of people love toxic relationships. And anything that will validate the bullshit that they have in here, they latch on to. And I think Alex at times validated her bullshit. Okay, over and over again, I watch this and I'm just like, this is what happens when you fangirl your guest. Okay, when you a fan of the guest, what happened to subjective interviews? Or is it objective? Objective. Objective interviews. I feel like now these podcasts fangirl over the guests so much, it blinds them to, hey, I'm supposed to be objective. And at times I kind of feel like she was trying to be, but other times it's like, oh, yeah, you drinking the Kool-Aid just like everybody else. Okay. She said Jeremiah was manipulative, making sure no one else got close to her. And this is where I see the same bullshit that I'm seeing in all these motherfucking interviews. The hosts love to come down on the blacks that are a part of this season. The black men specifically in here. She's like, what was with the whole Ace thing? Ace seemed at times obsessed with you. What was that all about? Not only did she do it with Ace, she also did it with Chris. Well, we don't get into Chris because I have not watched the Nick Biles podcast with Chris, but from what I have heard, it seems like Chris was kind of like being very nice from what I've heard. But girl was like, nice for what? I ain't being nice to him or saying nothing nice about him. Okay. So she asked about the whole heart rate challenge. Did you go too far? She said, I believe she said no. She's still going with the I was twerking on his chest, not in his face, that my coochie was not anywhere near his face. I don't believe it. I really don't. Because when you go back and you watch that scene and you watch the edit makes it look like the back of you was on him getting up. Okay. Now they had to edit it down because it was too much. And I do remember Taylor also saying in one of his interviews, it was too much, girl. It was too much. All right. But she admits that there was some sexual tension between her and Ace. And of course, Alex brings up Ace liking all her photos. It just kind of felt to me that she was kind of laying the hammer in on Chris and Ace. I don't understand the obsession with some of these people having with the Black cast members on this season. But I already did a video on that. I digress. We the main characters, I guess, in these people's minds. But she was saying how she heard that, yeah, she heard that he liked a lot of her photos. She says she can't make sense of it. She's heard that he went back and like unliked all the photos. What does Ace have to do with you? And some people might feel like they want to hear about the whole Ace and Huda situation. It just gave weird to me. And they skipped over that because it wasn't really nothing there. She admits that having sex early changes things. Like I said, you saw the same thing with Nick and Sierra. Sex in these small environments, in this like bubble, complicates things. And she admits that she would not have had, intimate relationships. I think she said that they didn't really go all the way. There were some things, some bases hit, some appetizers had, but no full course dinner. Okay. She had the rolls at Texas Roadhouse. She didn't have the steak now. But I have said that sex early on in a relationship only complicates things. And she admits it does. I think it changed the dynamic. And I'm gonna go into that a little bit more when we bring up the whole Chris situation. But I feel like there were opportunities for accountability, but instead it's like I'm the victim. I was bullied. Nobody didn't listen to me. Whenever I talked, I was told to shut up. People weren't paying attention to me. She was asked when Amaya was up there being dogpiled by all the men, why didn't you say anything? She says, because people don't listen to me. So why speak up? I'm the victim. Okay. But this is y'all feminist queen. I'm gathering that this is y'all feminist queen. Excuse me. Now we get to the Chelly hate. And that's when I'm like, oh, here we go. The group is about to dismantle. We're going to get some unfollows. Because it's only a matter of time before, to me, Huda was going to be that person. Huda is a wild card. And I think she's going to be a really good TV personality on these relationship shows because you don't know where you're going to get from her. But out of everybody in the group, she is the most unpredictable. And I knew eventually they was not going to be in the bed together on each other's lives. Okay. And so I think she tried to say that she was kind of bullied by Chelly and how Chelly and her had a conversation during Casa to bring back Chris. So at some point, Chelly could explore him, but also so that she could explore him. Making this narrative to me that I've been seeing that Chelly was jealous. And that's why everything happened between them because Chelly was jealous. That is a narrative that a lot of these podcasters and media would like to exist. And depend on your mindset, your emotional intelligence, you will fall for the bullshit. Okay. Do I think, being objective, do I think that um Shelly at times would like to have her cake and eat it too? Yes, I do believe that she liked Chris. I think she liked Ace. Do I think there was ever jealousy between her and Huda? I don't want to say jealousy, but I could see that she was frustrated that Chris was not pouring more into building a connection with her. I don't think it's jealousy. I think it's more like she expected more from him. Okay. And I've also seen the narrative that because Chris didn't put in more effort, that she settled with Ace. I don't believe that either. Okay. Now let's get to Chris because they put that man in a tree with a rope and left his hands and his feet dangling, if you know what I mean. Okay. This part of the interview was so just toxic. Chris was the bad one. Chris told me to shut up. Chris did a lot of things and said a lot of things off camera that y'all never saw. He's not this nice guy. And Alex actually brought up the ex, the alleged ex, making these comments online about all this stuff. So she says Chris had a wandering eye. He was a different person off camera. He often told her to shut up. And that Alex does bring up the whole, why was he so like bothered by like you not kissing him in person? Like, what was that all about? And Huda's like, I really don't know. I kind of feel like it was, what did she say? Because I feel like she kind of rambled at times, and I was kind of like, my brain is melting from watching this. um, she feels like people judged her about her relationship with Jeremiah, so it made her kind of feel like she wanted to do things in private. The bedroom was private. The rooms were private, like the speakeasy, those things were private. She wanted to keep their relationship, I guess, in some aspects in private to not have people be talking shit about her relationship like they were with her and Jeremiah. Let me tell y'all something. This girl to me weaponized intimacy. I want to say sex, even though she said that they didn't really have sex. He put the tip in, but it wasn't all the way. But to me, I feel like it was, let's keep this private and nobody know. I don't know, it just felt manipulative to me. At times I've heard her say, maybe it was on the show, that she is someone who enjoys physical and public affection. But then here she says that she is not really into that. When she would look over and see Iris and Pepe kiss, and she was like, ew, I don't want to see that. But then you say you want men to be obsessed with you. Make up your mind. Make up your mind. Okay. There's just to me like a overt need for a lot of attention. I don't know how well she's gonna do with all this attention post show. I just don't know how well she's gonna do it. She admits to meeting with a therapist. Like I said in my videos, she was meeting with somebody. Okay. Because ain't no way she went from 60 to 0, 60 in one episode, and she was at 0 the next. There was some intervention, girl. Because it didn't make sense to me. And so yeah, she would meet what she called them the psych. She met with the psych often when she was going through different things, which is really good. But I knew it wasn't just because I decided to calm down. And I would love to be a fly on the wall in some of those therapy sessions or coaching, because I know they can't call them therapy sessions, but probably coaching sessions that she was having with the psych. I would love to be a part of that now. But she feels like Chris was really into Chelly and Huda. I feel like I feel like Chris was into both of them. I think Chris was fully into Chelly. And I think that Huda was a fallback plan. I think he liked her, but I don't think he liked her the same way that he liked Chelly. But I do think that he liked her. Okay. I think they could have worked if Huda had done more work on herself, take more accountability. And Chris had more of a voice. At times I do feel like he can be passive aggressive now. Let's go back to that whole baby activity, the baby challenge. Now, I think I might have talked about this in one of my videos. I can't, y'all know I've done so many videos. But she talks about being triggered by the whole baby challenge, which I knew. And I've seen people reenact that on mainly Instagram. And I commented on the girl's video who did the reenactment or whatever. I'm like, this is a lot deeper than what y'all think. It's going over your heads. She was triggered because she is used to always having to prove herself as a mother. And so in that exercise, I'm trying to prove to all these islanders, the audience, I am a good enough mother. Not to mention, I think that Chris triggered her in the aspect of when she first had her child, her baby daddy wasn't really there. He was there, but when it came to the harder parts of having a newborn, the harder parts of having an infant, she was by herself, which also goes back to she does not have a good relationship or as close, I don't want to say not good, as close of a relationship with her siblings and her family. Okay. So that baby thing was deeper. You were watching somebody crash out because they were triggered, because it brought up feelings from what I have gone through in the past. Even though Chris is not my baby daddy, this is bringing up all the trauma I've been through, all the you're not a good enough mom, all those things. And even on the show, we hear her at the beginning going on about that she's a good mom. She has her kid, I believe, like 5 days out of the week. And her baby daddy has her twice a week or something, but her kid is always with her. So you see it come up again in this interview of trying to prove to the world, or not, I won't say prove, but yeah, prove, because she kind of started just like going on and on about like, I'm a good mom. This is why I'm a good mom. I'm always with my kid. My family is helping me with my kids. So it was more of that. And I'm like, yeah, this is a girl who's always had to prove herself to people in elementary school, in her family, and she is the youngest. Okay. I figured she was either the middle or the youngest, the baby. Okay, and I also wonder about the age gap between her and her siblings. Um, was she in the home with any of her siblings, or were they older and it was primarily her? I wonder about that too. You know, there's a lot of like psychodynamic Freud things that I'm kind of just like, feed me. I want to know what's your birth order? Who was in the home with you? Okay, what really happened with you and your daddy? Feed me. The therapist in me is just like, oh my God, like this is interesting. I want her to sit down with somebody else. Okay. Somebody with a therapeutic background. But yeah, the whole baby thing, it triggered her. Okay. It brought her back to a time in her life where, you know, she was a new mom trying to take care of a child and prove to herself and probably people around her that I can be a mom. Okay. Now, they talk about once again railroading Chris as a bad person and talking about the whole date thing. Um, Alex and her go down this road of, oh, he wanted you to be the one. He wants to be the one to break up with you or put it on you that you broke up with him so he can be the victim. And this toxic femininity shit is like crazy, y'all. It's crazy, yo. It's crazy. The stories that people make up their minds about people. And like once they kind of have an idea about somebody, they just run with it. Run with it, cuz just run with it. So I feel like personally, I feel like Chris was kind of checked out by the time they got to dinner. I think, like I said before, it was their first time out of the villa. They don't get to drink. They probably eat the same food all the time. So he was looking forward to it. I think he still had feelings for her. And I think that part of him was a little bit checked out because he had already been through the bedroom thing about you don't want to, you're not gonna cuddle with me. Well, I'm not gonna talk to you for the rest of tomorrow. And she says that he really wasn't asleep, which goes over her head about to me, like, yeah, he might not be asleep, but does he have a right to say no that he doesn't want to like cuddle right now? Can we just chill? So she says he was fake sleeping. Alex also brings up her nose job and how, he threw a pillow at her. Was that on purpose that he threw it that hard? Once again, to me, like trying to label him the big, bad black man who's a bad person, who's emotionally unavailable, and now you were trying your hardest to make things work, but he was not. Yeah. How many times have I heard this before in my couples therapy sessions and just this same arc on reality TV? It's the same old shit, new day, new show. Okay. And she feels like people were just saying, like, oh, it's just a pillow. He didn't hit you that hard. And Alex is like, well, you did get a nose job. He had to know that wasn't the best idea in the first year to hit you in the face with a pillow after a nose job. I was like, okay, y'all gonna just like do y'all. Okay, do y'all. Because Chris gave her a break, but I guess it was for no reason. But she also talks about how um the whole date thing that went viral once again, and about him picking her up and walking her over the water. She says that there were rocks and like you never know what's in that water. So yeah, he just said no and then walked away. My question is, how did you get to the water? How did you get to the table? Did you walk? Did he pick you up? And also just remind me of the expectations of that. Even though we're not together anymore, you still need to do what I say. You have no right. You have no say. And I would hope that we can like see that people, whether you're a man in a relationship or a woman, you have a right to feelings. But it's all or nothing. A lot of all or nothing mentality with her. Okay. But we're on our fake feminist bullshits. Female empowerment. Yes, this is female empowerment. Okay. Now, of course, once this was all over and the interview came out, she hit the fan. Okay. She hit the fan. Chelly and Olandria have unfollowed her. Surprise. Okay. Some people feel like I don't blame her. Everything she said in the interview felt like a slap in the face to the girls who supposedly called her sisters. And I don't know how is she gonna get herself out of this. Do we care? Because at this point, I would probably be asking myself, why did we save her? Because it felt like she was trashing everybody on the show. I don't know. It just felt like she doubled down on like being the victim. And one other thing is that she said that her and Amaya Papaya have become close friends and she becomes emotional. What have I said? What have I said? I said her and Amaya are very similar. They just show their emotions differently, but they're outwardly emotional. In the beginning, we saw more of the sorry to all of my papaya fans. We saw more crash out behavior when she first got there, and then she settled down. And I said back then, her and Huda get along because they are very similar. And I wonder how long will that friendship really last? Because at some point in this Love Island post friendship group, you're gonna have to pick sides. And whose side is Amaya gonna choose? Some people feel like the joke is on Huda because uh, not only by feeding these disproven lies, they feel like the fans are really like hurting her right now. She will still get that back, like I said, but the behavior of the fans is definitely going to bite her in the ass. Maybe. I don't really know if it'll hurt her. Because in this world of social media, followers are what really counts, not so much your behavior. If you have enough followers, you can get away with a bunch of bullshit. Yes, Chris was cordial in his interview about her. I don't understand why the switch up. Do you guys feel like Etta, the Huda started to get a very positive edit? I did also read somewhere, side note, that um they did try and leave once they broke up, but producers were like, nah, you have a contract that you signed, so you need to stay here. And I think after they realized they couldn't leave, they had a conversation about things, and that's when Chris wrote um the letter that he wrote to her. Okay. But she very much doubled down here. Damn, they all unfollowing her. Somebody said, I wouldn't be surprised if Nick unfollows her next. And look what we have here. It looks like he's still following her now. But how long is that going to last, seeing that was she kind of talking shit about his girl? Somebody said they'll give it to the end of the day that he unfollows her. Oh my God. It says that the girls gave her ass up for adoption so damn quick. Real sisters. Oh my God. But Hud, in a lot of ways, is her own worst enemy. But this is the shit that people love. Oh, people love this. Yeah, as soon as she started talking about her daughter, we saw that damn Hen Valley Ranch in a squeeze bottle. Like her ads are so fucking random in her like the fact that Hidden Valley Ranch is promoing her is so like crazy to me. But we did learn a lot about her personal development, which was good. Now, towards the end of this interview, Alex got her mental health bag. And that's when I think Huda was talking about how she was meeting with a psych person. I don't know. I just feel like the mental health card is just like used also. Do people really mean that they hope people get help? Hope people get help? Did I say that right? Hope people get help. Or is it something just to add in there to say that you care about mental health and you know it's a great thing? Everyone should be getting help. Is it really? But developmentally wise, she has gone through a lot of early childhood trauma from her parents, peers. she really had nowhere in her life to turn to. She really had no real resources. School is supposed to be an outlet, but the kids at school are bullying you, calling you a terrorist. Your mama getting beat at home. You have to go to your daddy's house on the weekends, and it seemed like there's some things happening over there. Okay, she really had no outlet, and it also shows why she, to me, needs constant validation because she wasn't getting it at home. She was not getting it from her primary caregivers. She has a bad relationship with her father. So she romanticizes men to kind of make up for the love of her father that she never got. And a lot of times when I see her, I have seen thus far, her interactions with men are very much all or nothing. If you don't give me everything, I'm gonna be critical and I'm gonna punish you, weaponize, and ultimately cut you off. You're done. I'm done with you. Okay, you can't give me everything. And I think in some ways, post the show, part of me wonders if Chris was being cordial because he was hoping that something could happen there. He could just be a good guy and try not to feed into all the negativity, but it feels like it was a waste because she wasted no time in talking shit about everybody. Talking shit about everybody. But you have to really heal from the things you have been through, or it will show up in every aspect of your life. Okay? And I think there's only a matter of time before, I guess she's already kind of sabotaging her relationships with the crew. I don't say a matter of time before she self sabotages, but we're kind of already seeing that. Okay. But what are your thoughts on this whole interview? Let me pull up the comments one more time and see if there's anything interesting I want to discuss. But yeah, she has a lot of trauma, y'all. Yeah, I truly have empathy for her upbringing. I truly feel like hearing her story, but this is a prime example of why it's important to heal and get therapy. You may not be responsible for your trauma, but you are responsible for the healing, your healing and your behavior. And I just don't think that Huda is in a place of healing, nor is she in a place to take responsibility for her behavior. Here we go with the I forget people forget how insanely edited Love Island is. Yes, it is edited. It's heavily edited. But her behaviors are still there. The words that came out of her mouth were still there. Okay. Wow. She is a definition of you know her name, but not her story. Such a strong woman. Yikes. Yikes, yikes, yikes. Hopefully she does get some therapy. But all that unresolved trauma showed up on Love Island. Okay. And will continue to show up. Now she says she has not checked any of her DMs. I don't even know if she's really posted on her socials. I don't follow her. But I hope she has a support system and a manager or somebody who actually cares about her when navigating all of this post life, because it can get very overwhelming very quickly if you don't know how to manage it and you don't have the mental health support to help you through managing it also. All right. But we still got the reunion. These friendships are about to fall apart, y'all. They are already crumbling. Okay. But should I still recap any of these other podcasts? Let me know your thoughts. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Okay. I make really good videos, but they don't get reach because I need you guys to support the channel and like the video. Leave me some comments. Share the video. Okay. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, girls. Bye.